Good morning, everyone. Today is Zion Adar. Today is the year to Moshe Rabbeinu. We are privileged to learn Mishnayos in his memory, of course. We have, you know, Moshe needs no endorsement from me, that's for sure. But it's a supposed to learn in his name as, and it should be made as Osher for God's Klai, so to bring this Geula closer to Mary Menu. Today's share is Lila Nishma Sar Nachman Simchat Kohen Yishul Mor Chav Hashem So Bracha Savash Maleb Bina Moshe Ben Yosef Ben Yishav Lahav Aliyah and for Shlim Ada Sar Bas Leah Chana Pesel Bas Yenta Yisrael Baruch Le Racha Bas Pesel Zalda Avram Yisach Ben Risha Chai Bas Dom Bela for Shlim Besok Shar Chali Yisrael Amen. And as a schus for the Talit Tzvi Baruch Kublima Shalom Yehuda Ben Chai Sar Mindo Sefer Bracha V'Atzlacha Ben Ruchnis Mavigashus and all their endeavors. Okay, today we're learning the last Perek of Rosh Hashanah, and tomorrow we are starting Tainus. Here we go. Reminder: the Siyum on Seder Mayed is going to be Thursday, March 12th. That's in a couple of weeks. Just in a couple of weeks coming up. How about Lila Tova? Okay. Perek Daled Mishnah Aleph. We're talking about how mitzvah shofar is performed when Rosh Hashanah falls on Shabbos. Yom Tov Rosh Hashanah Shechalias b'Shabbos. And the Yom Tov Rosh Hashanah falls on Shabbos. B'Mikdash Hayir Token of Lo B'Medina. They would blow the shofar in the Beis Hamikdash, but not anywhere outside the Beis Hamikdash. Not in the provinces, in the countryside. So even though the Chachamim answered and blowing shofar on Shabbos because they were concerned that someone would carry it in Rosh Hashanah, which is the rice of Shabbos, they did not apply this restriction in the Beis Hamikdash because of the concept that in Swiss Hamikdash there were no rabbinic prohibitions of Shabbos in the Beis Hamikdash, because the Kohanim were careful and could be relied upon to avoid being Mechal Shabbos in any, even inadvertently. Therefore, those dinim derabanan did not apply. Mishachar Beis Hamikdash, however, once the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed and therefore the shofar is no longer being blown in Beis Hamikdash, his Yochim and Zakah Shir token b'chol makom sheis for Beistin. Yochim and Zakah decreed that they would blow the shofar wherever there was a court. He wanted to prevent a situation where the shofar would not be blown anywhere in Shabbos, since it serves this the main mitzvah of the day, and the purpose of the shofar is to present the Jewish people to come to our defense. When we stand in front of our Avinish Bashamayim on the Yom Hadin. So therefore, he was going to say that Rosh Hashanah falls on Shabbos, that the shofar should be blown in the Beis Din. So Amar Elazar said, "Lo hiskir Yochanan ben Zakkai ela b'yadna bavad." He said, "Yochanan ben Zakkai issued this gezerah only for Yavne, which in his time was where the Sanhedrin was located, the great Sanhedrin of 71, and he allowed, according to Elazar, he said that Yochanan ben Zakkai only allowed them to blow the shofar in the Sanhedrin and not in Stama Beis Din of 3. Amalao, the Chachamim disagree with him. They said, Echa b'yavna, Echa b'chol makom sheis Beis Din. The other Chachamim said, they disagreed with Elazar, and they said that Yochanan ben Zakkai made the gezer both for Yavne and for any place where there's a court. and the Elazar was not right in his interpretation. Um, Mishnah Beis. And in this respect, too, Yerushalayim is superior to Yavne. Shekol ir shehi roa, to any town which a person can see Yerushalayim, the shamas that can hear the shofar being blown at Yerushalayim, the karova, and is near to Yerushalayim within 2,000 amos, lavo, and it's possible to go from that town to Yerushalayim. There's no obstacle between them, such as a river that will prevent travel. That's considered part of Yerushalayim in regards to the laws of shofar. Token, and then they may blow the shofar in that town on Shabbos, even if they are not in the presence of a court. Ubiyavna lo hayis token ella the base of Avad. Yerushalayim is superior to Yavne in that regard, because in Yavne they would blow only in the presence of the court. The court's authority did not go beyond its immediate presence, so that the shofar could be blown only before the court and not anywhere else in the town, certainly not in a neighboring town. Yeah. For the town to be chayiv, to be subject to the same laws as Yerushalayim, then all four conditions must be met. Meaning the person in the town must be able to see Yerushalayim and to hear a shofar being blown in Yerushalayim, and to travel to Yerushalayim, and the town must be within the 2,000 amos of it. If he cannot see Yerushalayim, but he can hear a shofar there, or if he can see it but not hear a shofar, or if he can both see and hear it but cannot travel there, or the town is more than 2,000 hours away, it is not considered like Yerushalayim with respect to blowing the shofar on Shabbos. It's interesting because you have a similar din by Megillah, which is actually Nogib Bisman Hazeh, that so in Chutz La'aretz we hold Purim on Yud, which is coming up next week, and in Yerushalayim they hold on Tesvav. So what qualifies as Yerushalayim? There are parts of Eretz Yisrael that hold 2 days apart because they're not sure if they're part of Yerushalayim or not part of Yerushalayim. And the more Yerushalayim continues to expand, then sometimes they'll move days from the 14th to the 15th. But last year, they were not considered part of Yerushalayim. Now, since there's a new town that was built between them and Yerushalayim, now that bridges the gaps, and that becomes more of a thing. That's a question that comes up every year in Yerushalayim. That's a similar concept, not exactly, but related. Okay. Mishnah Gimel, B'Rishona Haya Halulav Nital B'Mikdash Shiva. We're changing from continuing with Yochanan's innovation regarding shofar and Shabbos. Now we're going to talk about Arba Minim, which has a similar din on Sukkot to shofar having Rosh Hashanah. So originally, when the Beis Hamikdash still stood, the Arba Minim were taken in the Beis Hamikdash all 7 days of Sukkot. All 7 days of Sukkot. It was a Dina Yom Echad, and the provinces outside the Beis Hamikdash, it was taken on only 1 day, on the first day of Sukkot. Mishachara Beis Hamikdash, when the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, Hiskim Yochel Bezaka Sheilulav Nitav Medina Shiva Zech LaMikdash. Yochanan Bezaka decreed that the lulav be taken even in all the other provinces outside of the Beis Hamikdash on all 7 days of Sukkot as a zecher to the Churban Beis Hamikdash. Not a zecher to the Churban, but a zecher to the Mikdash itself. And then we divert into the Omer. She had Yom Hunaf Kulu Aser. And and he also decreed that the new crop is Aser the entire day of waving, which is the 16th of Nisan, the second day of Pesach, which was that was the day that the Omer was brought in the Beis Hamikdash. So therefore, when the Beis Hamikdash stood, so by Chatzos Yom, you were already able to eat from the new crop because for sure it had already been makriv. But once the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, now you have to wait the whole day. Okay. Mishnah Dalit. Mishnah Dalit, we go back to Kiddush HaChodesh as we discussed in the previous days. We're going to go back to that now. At what point would they were based in accept the testimony when it came to Tishrei? Rishona Mishnah Dalit. Rishona Hayin Mekam Eilis HaChodesh Kol Hayom. Originally, the based in would accept the edus concerning the new moon the entire 30th day until nightfall, until it says, However, one time on the 30th day of Elul, which if it was declared that if the 30th day of Elul was declared to be the new month, then that Rosh Hashanah. So one time in that situation, the witnesses were delayed in coming until after the carbon Tav Shabbat Abayim was already brought. When Skalkulu Halavim Bashir, and as a result, the Levim erred in their shir that they sang when the current Talmud was brought. Since the Edom had not yet come, but by the time the Levim sang the shir, they didn't know whether to sing the shir of Rosh Hashanah or the shir of that day of the week. Minik Hagra, we have the same shir Shayom for consistently we have Sunday for Sunday, Monday for Monday. We have 7 days of shir Shayom, and Minik Ashkenazim is that we see the same shir Shayom on that day, whether it's a yontif or not. But the minhag of the Gra is to change the shir to the shir of the yontif, so that the Rosh Hashanah is a Thursday, Friday. They would say the shir shayom of Rosh Hashanah on Thursday, Friday, and not the shir of Thursday, Friday. So there's a shtickle like this over here in the Beis Hamikdash too. They didn't know which day was Rosh Hashanah because they didn't know if the Edom came or not, so they didn't know which shir to sing. Hiskinish lo yumekabun el mincha. So to prevent this from happening again, the Chachamim decreed that the Beis Din should accept the Edom only until the time of the afternoon time is brought. Therefore, if the witnesses had not been accepted by that time on the 30th of Elul, that day could not become Shoshana, and the Levim would know that they had to sing the regular shir of the regular weekday, and the Shoshana would be the next day. However, if witnesses came from after the current Talmud was brought on the 30th day of Elul, no again Osra Yom Kodesh or the Machar Kodesh, then they would treat that day as Kodesh and the next day as Kodesh. They would keep 2 days. So if the Edom had not come before the time in Mincha, at which point it was too late for them to be accepted, then that day could not become that day could not become Rosh Hashanah, and it was certainly an ordinary weekday. Nevertheless, the rest of the day continued to be treated as though it was Rosh Hashanah, and the actual Rosh Hashanah was observed the next day. Mishachar Beis Hamikdash, when the second Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, and there was no longer a problem of Levim singing the wrong shira for the Shasa Korban. His Kira Yochim Azaga Shima Kabin Eilis Chodesh Kol Hayom. Rabbi Yochanan and Zaka decree that they should once again accept the edus concerning the new moon all day long. That therefore, even if edim were not accepted until after the Zman HaMincha, that they could then that they could still become Rosh Hashanah. However, Shimon Karka said, "Va'od Zos Hiskim Yochanan ben Zakkai." Yochanan ben Zakkai decreed this as well. Shafilu Rosh based in Bechol Makom, even that if the head of the basin is in any place, meaning he's not together with his basin, Shlo Yehu Eidan Holchin El Lamakom Havad, the witnesses are required only to go to the place of assembly where the actual basin sits, and they need not go to the Rosh to the Ab basin. Even though it was generally the Ab basin who declared the day to be Rosh Chodesh, the witnesses did not need to go to him if he's not in his usual place. The other members of basin can declare Rosh Chodesh in his absence if necessary. Okay, so now Seder Brachos. Going back to the Hilchos Shofar, we know that the shofar is blown before Davening Musaf and at 3 points during the tefillah. So Ashkenazim only they don't blow anything during the sound from Esrei. They only blow it during the Chazos Hashatz. And Sfard and Sfardim they blow it during the sound from Esrei as well. But still blowing it during Musaf. So Seder Brachos. What is the Seder Brachos? So we know that there are 9 brachos as we discussed. I think yesterday, 2 days ago, we talked about Yovel. You have the first 3. You have Magen Avram, Chayim Mesim, and Hamalach HaKadosh. And then you have the middle 3, which is Mekadosh. No, I'm sorry. This is for a regular Shabbos. You have Magen Avram, Chayim Mesim, and HaKadosh. Then you have Mekadosh Yisrael V'Azmanim. Mekadosh Shabbos is on Shabbos. Ritzei, Modim, and Sim Shalom. Those are the 7. Rosh Hashanah, you also add a Malchus, Zechronos, and Shofros, which turns the 7 into 9. And so here's the Seder. So Seder of Brachos. This is the order of the Brachos of the Musaf prayer of Rosh Hashanah. Amar Avos. First you say the Avos, and then the powers of Chayim Mesim, Kedusha Hashem, and then we sanctify the holiness of His name. We call Malchus Imahan, and we combine the Malchus together with them with the Kedusha Hashem. So according to the Mishnah, it would be the Melech HaKadosh and Melech Al Kol Haaretz, because it's Yom HaZikaron would be 1 bracha. The Eino Tokeh, but he does not blow the shofar after the Malchus. Kedushas Hayom V'Tokeya. He then says the blessing regarding the holiness of the day and blows the shofar. Zichronos V'Tokeya, and then by Zichronos, then he blows the shofar again. Shofaros V'Tokeya. And then he talks about the section of the shofar, and he blows again. And then he says the final 3 brachos of the avodah from Ritzei and Modim is giving thanks. And then Bergas Kohanim. This is according to Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. It's a little different from what we do with Manazet. Rabbi Akiva said to him, if he does not blow the shofar for Malchus, then why does he recite it? Rather, you do what we do nowadays, where you say Avos, and then Mechayim Mesim, and then Hamelech HaKadosh. And then, and that's a standard 3. And then you include the Malchus together with the next bracha of the holiness of the day, and you blow the shofar after Malchus. Zichronos is Okeya, and then you say Zichronos, and you blow shofar that too. Shofar is Okeya, and then you say the shofar section, and you blow the shofar too. Omar Avodah V'Odah B'Kas Kohanim, and then you say the final three brachas of the avoda and giving thanks and B'Kas Kohanim. And that's and then that is that version according to Rabbi Akiva. Mishnah Vav. Ein pokusim mi'asar malchus mi'asar zechronos mi'asar shavaros. We must have no fewer than 10 psukim of malchus and 10 of zechronos and 10 of shofaros. Each section has to contain at least 10 psukim that include at least 3 from the Torah, 3 from Ksuvim, and 3 from the Vim. It says it out of order, but it's really to be Tanakh, not Tachan. But okay. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri says, "Im Amar Shalosh Mikulan Yatza." Even if you recite only 3 psukim from each section, 1 pasuk from Torah, 1 from the Vim, 1 from Ksuvim, he's also Yotze, but it's preferable to have 10. Ein maskirin zikarim malchus v'shofar shofaranis. We do not cite any psukim about malchus, zichronos, or shofar that speaks about punishment of Klal Yisrael. That is a bad idea. We do not want to do that anytime, especially in Rosh Hashanah. Maskil b'Torah u'mashlim b'Levim. We start with the 3 psukim from the Torah, and then we say 3 from Ksuvim, and they end off with 4 from the Vim. We do that because the major book of you would think you should do Nevi'im before Ksuvim, but we do Ksuvim first because the major books of Ksuvim, meaning Tehillim, Mishlei, and Iyov, were written by David, Shlomo, and others before the works of the other Nevi'im of Shaya, Yirmiyahu, and Yechezkel. Therefore, you wanted to give them your preferential treatment. Rabbi Yossi says, even if he ended with a pasuk from Torah, it's fine. He did good. Mishnah Zayin, over Lifnei HaTeiva, beyond the Rosh Hashanah, someone who is diving from the Amud on Rosh Hashanah, Hasheni Maskia. The second one, the one who leads Musaf, is the one who blows the shofar. Ubishas Halal Arisham Makri Esahala. But on occasion when Halal is said, which is most, it's all you told me except for Shoshana and Yom Kippur, and the first one who leads Shachris is one who leads Halal. The shofar is for the second guy, but Halal goes to the first. Mishnah Ches. Shofar Rosh Hashanah ein mavi'in alav es hatichum. Regarding shofar and Shabbos, we may not go beyond regarding shofar or Rosh Hashanah, we may not go beyond the Tchum Shabbos, even if we will lose the opportunity to fulfill the message. That's even in Rosh Hashanah is not on Shabbos. It's even during a regular day. You still cannot go past the Tchum Shabbos for a shofar. No, normally we remove a pile of rubble that is on top of a shofar. And we're not going to climb a tree to retrieve a shofar. Nor can we travel to hear the shofar by riding on an animal or swimming in water. And chotchin or so, and if we have a shofar that needs to be repaired, we cannot cut it. Either with something that is forbidden because of a din derabanan, or with something that is us because of which is losase. But if it wants to rinse a shover with water or wine to improve its sound, he may do so because this is not considered a violation of the derabbanan against repairing a utensil. So all these things you cannot do to procure a shover except for giving it a rinse. From the skoa, we do not prevent children from blowing the shofar even when Hashanah falls on Shabbos. Elamis asking imahen ad shiyalandu. Rather, if they are mature enough to be trained, we may even occupy ourselves with the task of teaching them to blow the shofar until they learn. Misasik lo yatzah. If someone is preoccupied with some other matter and he blows the shofar without intent to fulfill the mitzvah, he has not fulfilled his chiyuv. And one who hears the shofar, and one who's preoccupied with another matter, has also not fulfilled his obligation, since the person actually performing the mitzvah did not have the proper intent. Another person cannot fulfill the obligation for him. And the last Mishnah of Rosh Hashanah, Seder Tekiyas Shalosh al Shalosh Shalosh. The order of blasts is 3 sets of 3, meaning 3 sets of Tekiah to Tekiah, Shir Tekiah Shalosh Trios. The total length of the 6 Tekiyas should be the same length as the 3 Truas, meaning that 1 Tekiah equals half of a Trua. Shir Terua Kishalosh Shivavos. The length of a Trua should be like 3 whimpers. Taka B'Rishona Mashabishniya B'Shtayim. If one blew the first Tekiah of a set, but then but at the regular duration, but then he made the second Tekiah as long as 2 Tekiyas because he's trying to do the last one of the first set and the first one for the second set. And Biyado El Achas, the law is that he has blown only 1 Tekiah. This long Tekiah counts only as the last Tekiah of the first set and not as the first of the next set, because a single set sound cannot be split into 2. And I wrap it up. Mish Beirach, if the Baal Tefillah said the brachos of Musa without the shofar being blown because the shofar was not available at the time, shofar, and then the shofar became available to him. Takeya Maria Takeya Shalosh Pamim. He blows 3 sets of Tekiah to Tekiah after Musaf has been done, and does not need to repeat any of his brachos. Okay. Just as the Baal Tefillah is chayav to recite his own silent prayer, and does not fulfill his personal obligation by repeating the tefillah aloud for the tzibur. So was each member of the tzibur obligated to recite his own silent tefillah, and cannot fulfill his obligation by listening to the leader's repetition. Therefore, if a person is capable of davening himself, he must do so, because he cannot rely on the chazan's repetition. The Chazon Shas is instituted only for the benefit of those who are unable to daven by themselves. In that case, it is indeed sufficient to listen to the Baal Tefillah. Rabbi Gamliel says, that the Baal Tefillah can cause the tzibur to fulfill its obligation. That even someone who knows how to daven can fulfill his chiyuv by listening to the leaders, to the Chazon Shas. We will see you tomorrow as we begin Tainus. Have a wonderful day.